Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Walker. Welcome back to the Maverick News channel. We have so much to share with you this evening. Splash pad mass shooting involving children in the Detroit area. We have other crimes to show you tonight. It seems strange, but maybe it's just par for the course. Jewelry store heist involving over 20 people, 20 assailants. We have other violent crimes to talk about. We have, oh my, what else? The Pope accused of wiretapping. This is the Pope accused of doing something bad. We'll talk about that. We have Father's Day. We're probably going to get into some Truspiracy stuff tonight. And back by popular demand again tonight, Brendan Kennedy will join us. He has been following the foreign interference story, and he will bring us up to date when he joins us very shortly here on the Maverick News channel. So stay with me. On the other side of this, we will start digging into today's top news stories.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Definitely have to talk about the Peace Summit as well. Heading into the Peace Summit, the Ukraine Peace Summit in Switzerland, Vladimir Putin came out with his own peace proposal, viewed by some as a genuine offer of peace, viewed by others as a public relations exercise, a strategic move perhaps. All he wants, or all he is demanding, is that Ukraine give up the areas that Russia currently occupies and some additional territories, and agreeing not to join NATO, and a few other things, and he'll agree to a ceasefire. On the other side today, at the Peace Summit, we saw a pretty hard line taken, really, with the strongest words coming from Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, who basically says that, basically told Putin, agree to the terms of agree to our terms or we will force you to surrender. Here she is.
Defending that system of rules.
Захищати Україну означає об'єднати усі зусилля міжнародної спільноти для захисту України.
And therefore would have been forced to surrender. Today we
Якщо
will
Росія не погодиться з цим, ми заставимо її здатися.
minimum conditions for a negotiation.
І нам потрібно встановити
And I do apologize for the reverse translation.
цієї
This is not the
дискусії.
proper clip.
Defending that system of rules.
But that is what was said. And so you've got the information. Hard line taken. Now, yesterday we heard from Zelensky that over 100 countries attended the peace summit. Russia not included, China not there either. And today, Saudi Arabia came out and said that any credible peace process really needs the participation of Russia. So here he is saying this about that.
Any credible process will need Russia's participation. We hope the outcomes of this summit reflect those aims. Thank you.
Short, sweet, to the point. And while all that's going on, Trudeau is asked several times was asked about the possibility of deploying Canadian troops on the ground in Ukraine. And this is what he had to say during a session with reporters. What he says may shock and surprise you. Maybe not.
Open now to putting military trainers in Ukraine. Can you be clear on this point?
We have always been there to support Ukraine with what it needs. We are delivering light armored vehicles as we speak that Ukraine is in need of. And we continue to do training in many different locations. This is something that we will continue to be there for Ukraine on.
So even though there have been media reports saying that that is the equivalent of Trudeau saying that he hasn't ruled out deploying Canadian troops on the ground in Ukraine, I'm not sure that's exactly what he was saying. He's talking about training, not really about putting troops on the ground. So we'll continue to follow that as well. And here's Zelensky meeting with the new president of Argentina, who is welcoming Zelensky's affections here. As Zelensky says, he's grateful for Argentina recently joining the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. And that is because there are claims being made on the Ukrainian side that Russia has taken children against, they've basically taken them back to Russia. Kidnapped them is what the allegation is.
Thank you so much. Here by fighting your country and your freedom. And that's why que nadie tiene derecho a
Justin Trudeau also made reference to that today. Let me see if I can find his social media post on that. Right here. This is what he said. And this is something that really hasn't received much play here in Western media, but today it's getting a lot more play. Here's this post on X. Close to 20,000 Ukrainian children have been taken from their homes, from their families, by Russia. As a father, I guess this is why, because it's Father's Day, I can't imagine their parents' pain. We will bring them home. So that's his post today. Interesting that we got that today, and I guess also the timing of last night's interview with Ed Dixon from Loads of Love, talking about Ukrainian orphans, was timely, given that it is Father's Day today. So last night's interview, which I thought was excellent. Really appreciate Ed coming by to talk to us about the work that they do just to help children, not only in Ukraine, but in other countries around the world as well. They do a lot of really great work just helping children who have lost their parents. So all that going on, and then this is making the rounds, and I'm sure that a lot of you have seen it, but I'm going to play it here anyway. This is Barack Obama helping Joe Biden off the stage at a fundraiser. I believe this was yesterday or the day before. Anyway, they raised $28 million. But Biden's on stage, and once again, he appears to freeze. And Barack Obama's there. He takes him by the arm and leads him off the stage, raising ongoing concerns, rekindling these concerns about Joe Biden's lucidity, his ability to think and be aware. There he is. There he is. He just sort of freezes right there, almost as though he doesn't know what to do. Just in a daze. And then Barack Obama grabs him by the arm and leads him, guides him off the stage, walks him off. That's the leader of the free world, who did not attend the Peace Summit, by the way, in Switzerland. Very interesting stuff. Okay, so we've got all that going on now. Brendan's going to be here in the next few minutes. I'm going to take a quick break, come back. We're going to talk about a lot of crime in the news today. We'll highlight the crime stories that are really topping today's news cycle. Stay with me. Be right back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, just tragic story out of Rochester Hills, Detroit area. A splash pad A gunman opened fire, unleashed 28 rounds on families, including children. The suspect is identified as Michael William Nash, 42 years old. Previously described by authorities as a man who lived with his mother, no criminal history. But authorities say he appeared to suffer from mental health challenges. 9 people injured, some in critical condition. Kids out with their families, just trying to enjoy the day in a very hot day at this splash pad. A 39-year-old woman shot in the abdomen and leg, also in critical condition. The 9 victims of the tragedy include an 8-year-old boy, critical condition, with a wound to the head, and a 4-year-old boy who is in stable condition with a wound to his thigh. The oldest victim, a 78-year-old man, shot in the abdomen, also stable, fortunately. So, police investigating what the motive might have been. We do not know yet. So far, authorities are saying that the shooting appears to be very random and bizarre. The weapon used, a 9mm Glock. Police attended his residence, and he found him inside deceased, apparently after committing suicide. Just another senseless tragedy, but a lot of crime in the news today. A lot of strange crime, I would say. Here's another incident. This one involving numerous people being shot and injured with fatalities in a mass shooting at a Juneteenth festival. This in Texas, in Round Rock, Texas. We have a video from the scene right here. Here we go. That's what it looked like at this Juneteenth festival. Huge response from fire, EMS. Unbelievable. So what can we tell you about it? Well, 2 people shot and killed at that festival. They were celebrating. A fight broke out between 2 groups, apparently, at the Old Settlers Park. This happened around 11 p.m. last night. Round Rock Police Chief Alan Banks met with reporters early this morning and told them that someone produced a gun and began to fire. 2 people died at the scene, according to police. They say the deceased did not appear to have been part of the larger altercation, and they don't know how many shooters there had been at that time. So the Juneteenth festival was put on by a local nonprofit organization in conjunction with the local municipal government. It included a free concert with a bunch of different acts on Saturday night. This shooting took place near the vendors area, near the concert stage. At least 6 people were taken to hospital with potentially serious injuries. 4 adults, 2 children transported to local trauma facilities, according to the Austin Travis County EMS. Just another one. I don't know. Do I still have this? I think I do. Okay, so this is apparently an exchange, a heated exchange in Scarborough, Ontario. And this involves Well, it's self-explanatory. Two men approach another man, one carrying a knife, and this is being shared widely on social media, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Come here.
So this video apparently shot by
Come here.
the man who was confronted by this guy.
You bring a knife. You bring a knife. You bring a knife. You bring a knife. No. Wait, let them shoot. Come on. Call the cops. Call the cops. Cops. I have the police car. They're coming. I have the police car coming. You have the car. Wait. Call the boss. Wait.
Canada, looks like we have a problem. Certainly does look like that, doesn't it? Wow. Now, there was also this story, which this is crazy. This is the most unusual jewelry store heist I've ever seen. So let me just give you a little bit on the information here. So you've got about 20 people, 20 jewelry store robbers. They're all dressed in black. They storm into this jewelry store in California and they smash the display cases and then load up and take off. Let me show you what happens here. We've got the video, and here we go. So it begins like this. Here they come. Door's locked, but they're not going to let that stop them. They smash through the glass. Look at them all. Obviously, planned in advance. They knew exactly what they were doing, where they were going. So many of them, they can't even get through the door all at the same time. But then they spread out inside the store, start smashing all of the display cases. Security camera footage sped up. Look at them. They went in with backpacks. Some of them carrying backpacks on their front, in front of them, so they can stuff all the jewelry into their backpacks, which are front packs. Very efficient. And then they exit the store, all dressed in black. I would think that there's an escape on foot. They probably discard their black outfits and then blend in on the street. Get into vehicles, take off, whatever, I don't know. But isn't that something? Amazing. Just highlights the problems we are facing here. With regard to the war in Gaza, the IDF released a statement today saying Hezbollah is increasing aggression. These are their words. Hezbollah's increasing aggression is bringing us to the brink of what could be a wider escalation, one that could have devastating consequences for Lebanon and the entire region, they say. It goes on, the statement, it says, Israel has a duty to defend the people of Israel. We will fulfill that duty. And here's the video to go with that. Let me bring this for you.
Has been escalating its attacks against Israel. The Hezbollah terror organization in Lebanon has been escalating its attacks against Israel. Since deciding to join the war that Hamas started on October 7th, Hezbollah has fired over 5,000 rockets, anti-tank missiles, and explosive UAVs from Lebanon at Israeli families, homes, and communities. Hezbollah's increasing aggression is bringing us to the brink of what could be a wider escalation, one that could have devastating consequences for Lebanon and the entire region. Hezbollah is jeopardizing the future of Lebanon so that it can be a shield for Hamas, a shield for the Hamas terrorists, the one that murdered the elderly, raped women, burned children, and kidnapped Jews, Muslims, and Christians during their massacre on October 7th. When we say that we will not let October 7th happen again on any one of our borders, we mean it. Because of Hezbollah's refusal to comply with UN Security Council Resolution 1701, because of Hezbollah's military infrastructure, weapons, and fire at Israel from the area south of the Litani River in southern Lebanon, and because of Lebanon's failure to enforce 1701 on Hezbollah, Israel will take the necessary measures to protect its civilians until security along our border with Lebanon is restored. One way or another, we will ensure the safe and secure return of Israelis to their homes in northern Israel. This is not up for negotiation. Iran's terror proxies continue to drag the region to destruction. Israel will continue fighting against Iran's axis of evil on all fronts, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in other fronts, as we work towards a more secure future for the entire Middle East. October 7th cannot, will not happen again on any one of Israel's border. Israel has a duty to defend the people of Israel. We will fulfill that duty at all costs.
Back to the situation in Ukraine. Trump speaking at the Turning Point event, saying that he would put an end to the conflict there very quickly if he's returned to the White House. We have him lined up in this clip right here. Here is the Donald.
I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman of any politician that's ever lived. Every time he comes to our country, he walks away with $60 billion. And I like him. You know, on the impeachment hoax #1, he was very good. He said, no, the president didn't threaten me at all. He could have been a grandstander and said, I was threatened, right, Matt? He could have said, I was threatened. So I like him. But he's the greatest salesman of all time. He walks in. So now here's the beauty. He just left 4 days ago with $60 billion, and he gets home and he announces that he needs another $60 billion, else it never ends. It never ends. I will have that settled prior to taking the White House as president-elect. I will have that settled. I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman.
Okay, so now we have to get Brendan into the studio here. I think he's having some technical problems. So let's take a little break. We're going to come back on the other side, and he'll join us once I get this problem with the link set up for him. And we'll get that resolved. We'll get him in here, and we'll start talking about this huge, huge foreign interference story that is not only affecting Canada, but also other Western countries. We saw a joint statement issued by the G7 countries at the G7 conference, which was a prelude to the Peace Summit this weekend. So don't go away. I'll get all this sorted out, and we'll come back with Brendan.
the sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks, we are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now, at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program. For your mind.
Okay, I'm back, and we have everything worked out, and here he is. Here's Brendan.
I am here. Sorry about that. I was in the wrong room.
No, that's okay. That was my fault. I must have sent you the wrong link. So you've got the right one now. That's the main thing, and here you are. Day three in a row after a real Brendan Kennedy drought.
We call it a triple threat.
Yeah, hat trick. Hey, did you watch that hockey game?
I did not. I mean, I don't watch sports that much. If I do watch sports, it's going to be something like an MMA fight or something like that.
Yeah, I don't watch hockey like I used to when I was a kid. Don't watch it much at all, but an 8-1 victory for the Oilers? Holy smokes.
It would be something if a Canadian team did take the cup home, though. I would say that because it's been a long time since that's happened.
Yeah, speaking of Canada, we have this foreign interference issue still front and center. I know you've been looking into it pretty extensively. Where are we at with all of that tonight?
Well, it depends on where you want to start. There's a lot of confusion, I think, that's being output by there. We have some parties saying that there's no problem at all. We have some parties saying, well, there's a problem, but how we approach the problem is we should do it nonchalant. So I guess we should start with maybe Justin Trudeau saying it's a nothing burger.
Right.
You want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. Do you have a clip lined up with him?
Yeah, I have it all ready to go, my friend.
Okay.
So we'll just bring that up here. So this is from the final day at the G7, and he spends a lot of time answering a lot of questions with non-answers, but I think this is kind of interesting.
Can you bring that up full screen before I add it
for sure.
to ours? There we go.
Let me know when you're ready.
Here we go. Here's JT.
And CIRA for oversight over our national security instances, and we created specific bodies of experts, of top civil servants, to ensure the integrity of our elections. We've also called a number of different reports, including an ongoing report on foreign interference that we're working with right now to see how they can follow up on the NSICOP report.
We've heard from Mr. Singh and Ms. May. They have both said that there are no members of their party who are named in the report. So I'll ask you again, are there any current Liberal caucus members named in the NSICOP report that are wittingly or semi-wittingly participants in foreign interference?
I will allow Mr. Singh and Ms. May to speak for themselves.
Last question.
Hi. I'm the Globe. Hi, it's Annie Bertrand-Oliver with CTV National News. Just going back on that, but why can't you say any more? Singh and May have both talked about this report and provided substantially more details than you have. So why are you unable to provide any details about what is in this NSICOP report?
I think it's important that Canadians have confidence in our ability collectively as a democracy to defend the institutions and the processes around our elections and our democracy. That is why officials are engaging with the foreign interference inquiry to see how they can follow up on the NSICOP report. Je pense que c'est important que les Canadiens puissent avoir confiance dans notre
Shall we pull out of
capacité.
this? And
No, it gets the best part's yet to come.
Okay, we'll go back
La
up to it.
commission sur l'ingérence étrangère pour voir
So,
comment ils peuvent faire un suivi.
He's not
sur
nearly as
le
concerned as
rapport,
Jagmeet
du comité
Singh
parlementaire.
is.
You're talking about how Canadians should have confidence in the work that's being done around foreign interference and to prevent that from happening. But Dominic LeBlanc, your own minister, has said that the government disagreed with the committee's interpretation of some of the intelligence. So what are some of the problems with this intelligence, and do you agree with that assessment?
We made clear some of the concerns we have with the way the NSICOP drew its conclusions. I think that is an important part of the process. The NSICOP, the National Security Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, exists so that parliamentarians from all parties can have full access to the work that our national security agencies are doing. That's an important step that wouldn't have happened if the Conservative Party had remained in power. We were able to create that over the objections of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party. So we welcome the work that they're doing, but of course when it comes to intelligence, there are important bodies like the Foreign Interference Inquiry that is tasked to look at this, and we will continue our work with them.
That concludes today's press conference.
And so that opens quite a few questions. It sounds like he's saying that he's disagreeing with some of the conclusions of the report and how they came to those conclusions, which...
Well, when it comes to intelligence, they don't always deal with, they have to speculate sometimes. You're not always dealing with hard facts. It's a gray area sometimes when you're dealing with information. So it can be difficult, and you can come to different conclusions because it depends on how much weight you give one piece of information or another. Now, all that being said, something doesn't seem to wash here. It's especially after what Jagmeet Singh had to say, calling the members of parliament who apparently have been wittingly or unwittingly, as the quote goes, we're helping foreign governments.
And that's absolutely correct. So they're putting a lot of weeds out here for Canadians to be able to interpret what is actually happening with this. And a big fact remains here that we're not going to be able to enter confidently into another election unless we have some form of details or something more. We can't just leave it hanging like this.
Right. Well, look, you do have a clip lined up. There was an interview done on CTV with Jagmeet Singh. I think it's important that we run that. This was actually picked up by another media outlet, then kind of edited to highlight some of the key moments in the interview. And I think it's worth listening to this because, again, first of all, it doesn't seem to jive at all with what Trudeau is saying, what Jagmeet Singh from the New Democratic Party is saying. And then on the other side, when you listen to what he thinks the reaction from Canada should be, that doesn't seem to make much sense to me either. So let's listen to this, and then I'll get your thoughts on it.
I grabbed this from the source actually, and I kind of just lined it up from where it needs to be. And I think this is the important thing anyway that I think we need to listen to. And this is just hours old. Like this is, I believe it's from yesterday, but I'll let her rip when you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, good stuff.
No, what's in that? What are those allegations? What are the details?
Oh,
To me, that disqualifies.
Sorry about that. I am a speed watcher.
Him as leader. No leader that puts the interests of their party beyond the interests of the country has any merit leading the country.
And I'll get to those leaders in just a moment and what should be done about them. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think should be done about those members of parliament or former members of parliament that are being called traitors? What action should be taken against them?
Well, I've said that there has to be a way that we let these parliamentarians know that we know what they're up to. There has to be a way that does that doesn't undermine national security. And
But just let them know, or do you think that there should be something, should there be charges against them? If you're calling them traitors, do you just want to call them out, or do you want some more action against them?
Well, I think the NSICOP report does a good job of saying that some activities are illegal and should have resulted in criminal action or criminal charges, but unlikely because of changes to the law. So we need to make sure the laws are stronger to allow for those charges to be laid. And then all of the behavior is characterized as unethical. And so one of the things that we can do as party leaders, and I've said this is a responsibility of every party leader, to make sure you look at the information that's available. And then we vet out people in running for our party based on an egregious tweet or an egregious social media post. If there is information where they're alleged to be involved in foreign interference, that should be grounds for that person to not sit in caucus and certainly not to run under the party's banner. So I would call on all party leaders to do that. I can say on my behalf, nothing that I've read and none of the information I've received gives cause for me to take any additional action. I'm wording it that way very specifically for national security interests. But I call on every leader to do the same. Look at the information and make sure that no one is allowed to run in an upcoming election who has allegations of foreign interference.
At the same time,
And so I think there's a couple of things to kind of break down and discuss with that. What is it that we should do with these individuals that have went ahead and got themselves involved in international conspiracies? I don't think what Jagmeet Singh had to say there is the way to do it. Well, there's got to be a way to let them know that we know. I think we've already achieved that, didn't we?
I think if you're a member of parliament and you've been accepting foreign funds for your campaign or foreign funds for maybe even personal gain, either way, you know what you've been doing. And if now you know that something's been going on, then obviously you know that they know who you are, so and it's everybody knows, except the public. It doesn't. And but I think what he's really saying here is that the laws are not strong enough to do anything about it. The system needs to be fortified. We need new legislation or amendments to existing laws so that members of parliament who are engaging in this kind of unethical behavior can be held accountable legally. It seems like there isn't a law in place to stop what is going on. I've been saying on this program for a long time that the real problem is exactly what we are now seeing come out in public, is that members of parliament are on the take. Some members, not all, some are taking foreign money for campaign contributions and maybe even for personal gain. That is why we have such a big problem. Whether it's, I'm certain that it has a lot to do with the immigration that we're seeing, with economic policies, with the woke progressive politics, identity politics. It's all related to that stuff. And what you're seeing on the streets with the protests and what you're seeing at the borders, that's all a direct result of this stuff. But why is it going on? Because nothing's being done about it. Why? Laws aren't strong enough.
There's got to be something to it. Running a campaign is a very complicated thing. And there's very complicated rules that are around running a campaign. and where you can get money from and how you can get money. Who's to say, like, that parliamentarians are aware of this money?
I think they're aware. That's why they're saying that some of them are wittingly helping these foreign governments. And, you know, if you look at even Patrick Brown,
yeah,
you can find articles written about him. He ran for the leadership of the Conservative Party. I think he's still the mayor of Brampton, right?
I believe so. Yep, that's correct.
And he promised to take, I think it's the Tamil Tigers off the terrorist list in Canada if he became the prime minister. That's how he got the support of a certain group of a certain demographic and community group in that area when he was running for the Conservative leadership, which was not successful, obviously. But that's public. I mean, to me, that is not appropriate. It seems to me that rises to the level of a conflict, not acting in the best interests of Canada. But I don't know. That's sort of a gray area, right? It's just wow.
And speaking of Jagmeet Singh's caucus, I mean, we all know that the NDP has a communist problem, especially their provincial branches. And so I took a stab at their list of members that are in caucus for the federal NDP. And the first person I looked at was MP Nikki Ashton. And she's gotten into some hot water recently for taking her family on a Christmas trip to the Quebec area at the expenditures of taxpayers of $17,000. But this is way before that. Like, in her upbringing, she went to a private boarding school in Hong Kong. And then she also was in a little bit of hot water, if we all remember the Huawei 5G scandal and the CEO. So Huawei being the tech company that is run by the Communist Party of China, the CCP. She was running petitions to free the CFO that was jailed, awaiting United States extradition. She was running campaigns and endorsing them to free that person and get them out of jail. So it's like, in a sense, she was lobbying for this Chinese corporation CFO.
Yeah, that was something that also involved the United States, because it was, largely involved legal proceedings on the U.S. side, and then Canada, of course, made the arrest. I think it was in Vancouver at the airport. I think in response to a request from the U.S. government, but
Yes.
all that going on, and we're seeing too that we have Canada's defense chief coming out and saying that Canada can no longer be naive about the real threats it faces. So this is General Wayne Eyre, and he's saying tonight that he's cautiously optimistic that the Canadian Armed Forces is on the upswing, with new commitments to defense spending, slow improvements to recruitment, and a recognition of security as a top priority for both the government and Canadians. But he says that the growth on that side is still not fast enough. He was speaking with Mercedes Stephenson in an interview on Global, the West Block. And, I think he has also identified information warfare as a concern and foreign influence as well. He's identified China as certainly a really serious threat to Canadian security. And we've seen in the intelligence reports with regard to foreign interference that the main players at the moment seem to be China and India.
And that's very interesting, China and India. And it just seems like that's where the roads for a lot of this stuff lead, including Russia, but I don't think that we have a whole lot of connections with Russia in this country. Or
Well,
that we ever
if you
had.
read those, if you do read those reports, Russia is absolutely identified. They are active here as well. And there are the two reports that I went
For-
through, about
Yeah.
4 nights ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're definitely involved in misinformation and propaganda for sure over the internet.
Yeah, in fact, I would say, Brendan, just from just sitting in this chair every night, that the information warfare problem, the propaganda problem, in this country is much more extensive than the government realizes, or even the intelligence services. It's much wider spread, not just here, but in the United States and all Western countries. It's much broader than they realize, I think.
Absolutely. And I mean, now's not the time to panic. Like, we should all be concerned, but I'm finding that there is a lot of news outlets, and I'm not going to mention any names, that are in full out panic mode, such as I've seen discussions about members of parliament who are dual citizens with other countries, and they're providing MPs that have no basis. Like, I've researched lists of names that claimed that individuals were dual citizens or that they were born somewhere else, and it just wasn't true at all. And that's something that we have to be mighty careful of right now.
Well, I think that's part of the problem that Canada faces, is that we are very loose with the regulations, the rules that are in place when for members of parliament who are elected. In fact, you and I were talking about this last night, I think, where you were pointing out quite correctly that a member of parliament can actually have dual citizenship. They can be a Canadian citizen and a citizen of another country. And to me, that seems right there like a conflict of interest.
100% it does. In fact, in 2017, it was a major problem in Australia, which shares a much closer geographic location with China and has been dealing with this problem, and I think in somewhat a higher degree of severity in the past. But they had banished members of parliament from becoming or from being dual citizens. So they've eliminated that out of the process altogether. And one of the major things that, from a legitimate list that I've found, is that a lot of the senators and MPs are like from India that have dual citizenship. That can be confirmed. And I will tell you guys right now, I don't even want to show the list because I don't think anybody actually knows. And Andrew Scheer is one of these people. Andrew Scheer was a former leader of the Conservative Party. He currently sits as the Conservative House Leader, I think, in the House of Parliament.
And we should be very careful even about names we name and what we associate those names with, because this could blow up into a massive legal thing. And
I'm naming him because it already did blow up for him. And that's why I'm giving this credible example, because he had criticized a Liberal MP back when he was the party leader for being a dual citizen, and then it turned out he was an American citizen, and that was a huge part of him stepping down as party leader. And so that's why I give that example specifically, because it's very well documented and very well highlighted.
Well, I think that rule they have in the United States is, you must be born in the U.S. in order to become president. I think that's an important thing, and it's valid. You don't want a president or a prime minister, I don't think, that was born in another country.
Absolutely. And we should give benefits to the doubts benefit of the doubts to first generation Canadians, people who were born here. Like, my grandmother was a first generation Canadian, and her father was involved in municipal politics. I think that he had valid interest in his community and stuff like that. But as far as letting them get into things nationally, I do think that being born here should definitely be a criteria. It's a matter of national security, and it's a matter of making sure that people have the best interests for our country.
Yeah, and I think that what Jagmeet Singh has done so far, though, it seems I don't know. It seems inadequate, and it seems almost like he's trying to score some political points without actually. It doesn't seem genuine to me, because at the end of that interview, he says, "Well, as you pointed out, we're really not going to do anything about it. There's nothing I can do, so I wouldn't do anything." Well, then what are you talking about? Because if you're accusing someone of being a traitor,
Yeah.
that would say that rises to the level of treason, which is perhaps, one of, if not the most serious of crimes, one of the most.
And we do have laws against treason. It's very specific. I would have to pull it up here, but I don't know if you want me to do that right now.
Well,
but
sure you can, and I think it's an important point. He makes these allegations, uses the word traitor, while the prime minister on the other side is saying, "Well, we don't really agree with the conclusions of the NSICOP report, so it's probably not as bad as they're making it out to be." And then you've got Jagmeet Singh on the other side saying that he believes that these MPs are traitors, but then in the next breath saying, but there's really not much we can do about it. I guess we need to tighten up the laws. Maybe he's using that language because he's sworn to secrecy. He can't reveal the information that he's seen in this top secret unredacted report. So he has to be very careful about what he says. And he did indicate that was why he was using the language he was using. Nevertheless, it seems like it's counterproductive to throw this stuff out there. It stirs the pot without really offering up a recipe for the soup.
And it's like you said, he gets to attack the Conservative Party, and he gets to attack the Liberal Party at the same time. And it's like, and then obviously people are getting mad at him because the only reason why Justin Trudeau is in power right now is because they're propping him up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here, the Canadian criminal code, it says here, treason. Everyone who commits treason in Canada, uses force or violence for the purpose of overthrowing the government of Canada or a province. B, without lawful authority, communicates or makes available to an agent of the state other than Canada's military or scientific information or any sketch, plan, model, article, note, or document of a military or scientific character that he knows or ought to know may be used by the state for a purpose of prejudicial to the safety or defense of Canada. So, basically that's saying you can't take classified military secrets and use them against Canada. Section C dictates conspires with any person to commit high treason or to do anything mentioned in paragraph A. Section D forms an intention to do anything that is high treason or that is mentioned in paragraph A that manifests the intention or the overt act. Conspires with any person to do anything mentioned in paragraph B or forms the intention to do anything mentioned in paragraph B that manifests that intention by an overt act. So it seems like you might be right in the sense that we may not have legislation that covers a lot of different aspects of what this is. But these politicians, they are explicitly using the word treason. I couldn't count how many times.
What I'm getting from all of this is that Canada's long-standing desire to be all-inclusive, multicultural, that is at the core of the problem with this particular issue, because we're allowing dual citizens to be members of parliament. We are, as a result, I think, just leaving a gigantic gaping hole in the laws as well in order to be accommodating in various ways, right? We need more teeth. So Jagmeet Singh is right when he says that the laws need to be revised.
Yeah, I would say, because the definition of what is going on here has expanded so drastically. And it looks like, it says here, high treason in Canada is defined as someone who kills or attempts to kill Her Majesty or does any bodily harm, attending to death or destruction, maims or wounds her, or imprisons or restrains her. So basically, anyone who attacks the Queen, that's high treason. Levies war against Canada or does any act preparatory therefore to. Well, that's very broad. And I mean, you could probably wrap just about anything up in that. And it also states, assist an enemy at war with Canada or any armed forces against whom Canadian forces are engaged in hostilities, whether or not a state of war exists between Canada and the country whose forces they are.
So yeah, and in Canada, treason is considered one of the most serious crimes. It's addressed under the Criminal Code of Canada. The penalties for treason can vary depending on the specific circumstances and the nature of whatever the act might be, the action. There are two types of treason that are recognized under Canadian law. There's high treason and treason. So under high treason, it involves acts such as killing or attempting to kill the sovereign, levying war against Canada, assisting an enemy at war with Canada. I don't think we actually have technical war legally yet with Russia or China or Iran or any of these actors. The penalty for high treason is life in prison in Canada. Now, for treason, that involves acts such as using force or violence, as you said, Brendan, to overthrow the government or conspiring with others to overthrow the government, just even conspiring to do that. And the penalty for treason as well can be life in prison or a term of not less than 5 years. So the exact penalty can depend on the specific facts of the case and, of course, the discretion of the court. But I guess even Jagmeet Singh is saying we're not there yet. But it seems to me that if he's using that word traitor and they're taking money and they're acting wittingly with foreign governments, seems to me that's an act of treason. I suppose it depends on what the overall, maybe it's because the actions are not meant to overthrow the government, so it becomes a gray area, right? If you're influencing an election, is that an attempt to overthrow the government or just...
Well, you had that chart, and I thought that was a pretty good thing to go through.
From
Remember?
the report.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty well rounded in the sense of, well, I mean, if you have somebody who has, let's say, leniencies towards the country of India, they're pro-Indian, and they dispel or say things that are pro-Indian, like, it makes like a gray area, at the end of the day. And so that's where that legislation that you're saying that we need to have in there. And it looks like the last time we've had a conviction for treason was in 1947. And at that time, there was still the death penalty that you could have gotten for it. So
yeah,
that's a long time ago.
It seems to me that if you have members of parliament accepting foreign money in a way that can influence the outcome of an election, even like just an election within one riding, not let alone the outcome of an election federally, but even in just one riding, to me, that rises to the level of treason, because that is undermining democracy. By undermining democracy as part of the electoral process, you are effectively trying to overthrow the government. You're trying to put in your own person.
And
right?
That's going to directly implicate, like, if we were to try to bring laws out and expand the criminal code regarding treason, all the people who are a part of, like, the DEI initiatives would be all over that and be like, oh, this is against our human rights, and this is racist and misogynist and bigoted. It's and we just have to be real that other countries are competing with us, and they're going to compete with us in nefarious ways. That's...
Yeah, I mean, this is good and bad. I think it's good because this is shedding light on,
Yes.
on a serious problem. I would say the most serious problem the country has right now. This is the problem that I've been trying to highlight here on the program over and over and over again. People say they want to throw the whole system out because they can't understand how the government can even during the pandemic. Why did the government take the actions it took? Why are we seeing so much immigration? Why are we seeing all of these policies that don't seem to put Canada as the main priority?
Yeah.
It's because of exactly this. This is what I've been saying. You don't need to get rid of the whole system. You just need to root out the corrupt members of parliament, the corrupt politicians, the corrupt bureaucrats, and you need tough laws in place to deal with these people who are circumventing the integrity of the country, of our democracy.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is, I think you are right on the nail when you say this is a good thing because we need to go through this right now.
Yeah,
we have.
The bad thing is that it's happening.
It's already happened. What are you
Right.
going to do? Now we have to proceed. Now is the time we need to decide what we're going to do with it. And I think Canadians should be concerned. I think that they should involve the democratic process. They should write their MP and let them know that they're concerned about it. They should dispel their, dissatisfaction to these government officials and let them know this is bad. But the democratic process, it should be used as it was designed.
Mm-hmm.
It should be, and Canada is worth fighting for, and it's 100% better that we're doing this now than we would be in 2025. And whether or not Justin Trudeau plans on running in the next election, it really sounds like he does, because in the G7 committee, he was talking all about how he's looking forward to welcoming the G7 in Canada and that he's going to be the president of the G7 next year. That tells me he fully plans on being around for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it's going to be a major issue getting into the next election. My guess is the Conservatives will grab a hold of this and try to make it their issue. And I hope that they do, because somebody needs to do something. Now, you were saying, though, that you think that Justin Trudeau might have an ace up his sleeve, and you just smell something brewing.
Well, I always say that Justin Trudeau is a lot of things, but I don't think he's stupid. I think that's what people's biggest mistake is maybe there is a Conservative member of Parliament who is implicated in this, and maybe they have transferred his information over to law enforcement authorities, and maybe what would be a better story than some member of Parliament or Justin Trudeau naming names at a press conference? It would be the RCMP or some other legal authority issuing a mugshot with full details on what this individual has been charged on. What type of impact would that have? And that would be Justin Trudeau using that for political gain. Why wouldn't he do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility.
So if at the right moment the RCMP or CSIS, well, if the RCMP comes out and lays charges against, say, a Conservative MP or a few Conservative members of Parliament, that could blow up in Pierre Poilievre's face heading into the next election.
And it wouldn't be like the Trump mugshot at all. It would be the complete opposite.
And we have seen Jagmeet Singh say or call for the expansion of the investigation to include the last Conservative Leadership Convention, at which Poilievre was elected leader of the CPC, Conservative Party of Canada. But I have to wonder, I don't think that Poilievre is dirty in that regard, because if he was, he wouldn't be coming at this so hard.
Yeah.
Whatever Jagmeet Singh thinks is, a problem within the Conservative Party, it has to involve other people who ran for the leadership.
I 100% on that. I think that Pierre Poilievre would have won the leadership race with Erin O'Toole back in, what was that, 2020 or 2019? Either way, he competed against Aaron O'Toole, and he backed out of that race. I think he would have won that race by a long shot. He came back in, and he did the race after O'Toole left Parliament or left the party or leadership, and he won by a landslide. Like, there was no contest. Like, I helped cover some of that stuff. A lot of those contenders were just purely weak. Like Jean Charest. Anybody telling me that guy has like competition on Pierre Poilievre? Yeah, right. Come on.
Well, he's a powerhouse in himself, though. But he's a liberal.
Yeah, I know that. And
that's the problem with the Conservative Party. That's the problem with politics, is that you get this muddying of the water with politicians switching camps, pretending to be a conservative when they're really a liberal, and the only reason they're really there is to infiltrate and take over the party, which is what gives people the sense that there is a uniparty. And I think when the Conservatives decide to go with a leader who is on the left side of the party, of the spectrum within the party itself, the progressive side of the Conservative Party, that's when you get more of a uniparty, because you can either vote for liberal or liberal light. That's why so many conservatives became disillusioned and left the party to form the People's Party of Canada, a number of years ago now.
And it was a total disaster. It was a total disaster electing that Aaron O'Toole into office. And, Aaron O'Toole had an even worse climate policy than Justin Trudeau. At least Justin Trudeau gives you a climate action check. He was going to keep all your money in a bank account and then only let you spend money on a set list of things that, this is your climate bank account. You could buy a bicycle. You could buy new windows for your house. It's like, screw that. Just give me my money back. That's a terrible policy. But I've been to multiple Pierre rallies, and Pierre Poilievre is on fire. Like, people love him. They are going to these things. I just have a hard time seeing that he would be implicated in something like that. And I mean, that is something that is going around, but I strongly disagree with it.
Well, there's all kinds of, anti-Pierre stuff out there, but that's all, generally that's political in itself. It's political misinformation, misdirection, propaganda, domestic propaganda designed to just discredit a competing leader, right? That's really what a lot of that stuff is. Absolutely.
They're just gonna jump off. They're grasping at straws, I think. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I think he is a highly effective, highly skilled politician. I haven't seen anybody so slick in question period as him in a long, long time. Wow, he's good.
He is good, and the first time I ever came to realize who he was I caught the We Charity scandal where they're talking to Justin Trudeau, and he's going, just the dollar figure, Prime Minister. The dollar figure.
I want to see him in a debate with Trudeau, because I think you put those guys on the debate stage together, if they have adequate time to go at each other, and I think Pierre Poilievre would just mop the floor with Trudeau, because Poilievre has a rapier wit.
It would be a massacre beyond a doubt. And, I wouldn't want to see one of those stupid debates where we always have with the NDP and the Green Party. Like, for some reason, the Green Party always attends our debates in this country. It's they have a seat in the House of Parliament, House of Commons. Let's just get Trudeau and Poilievre. We'll have them on stage and just have them go at each other.
Yeah, I just want to see the two of them go at it. I don't even really want Jagmeet Singh or any of the leaders from the other smaller parties on the stage at all. They just take up too much time. Let's have these two guys go at it and see who comes out on top.
We should pitch that to CPAC. We'll have viewership on CPAC so high that it'll make their head spin.
Let's get it here.
Yeah.
On Maverick News. Yeah.
Maybe we should do that. We'll send invites out to both of them.
That'd be great if we could arrange something like that. But I wouldn't hold your breath, folks, because I don't think Trudeau would agree to any such thing. Too dangerous for JT. Well, Brendan, anything else you want to add on this story? Anything we've missed so far?
Well, I think we nailed it out of the park, but no, that's about it. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, there was one aspect to this, though. There was this joint statement issued on foreign interference at the G7. And so let me just, I just want to review the information here. So speaking at the conclusion of the G7 summit, Trudeau did tell reporters that he has concerns with the way the National Security Intelligence Committee of parliamentarians came to those conclusions. And then we saw, that isn't the right information. Let me just go back here. Here we go. So the G7 leaders say they're also, like, these are other Western leaders, say they're more concerned than ever about foreign interference, and they've come up with they're going to create a collective response framework to counter foreign threats to democracies. So this pledge came as part of a 43-page communique, which was released back on Friday by the leaders of Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, Italy, France, Germany, and Japan. It says the government ministers have been asked to get the framework together by the end of this year. And so it will include publicly exposing foreign operations of information manipulation. That's the information warfare that I've been talking about. And this communique also goes on to call on tech companies to ramp up their activities to prevent counter foreign interference, prevent and counter foreign interference and information manipulation, especially as it relates to artificial intelligence. And we've seen the results of that online. You can't tell what's real and what isn't a lot of the time anymore, even with videos which are being created with the help of artificial intelligence, and a lot of photos from what's supposed to be war zones, I've noticed too. We've pointed out some content like that that makes it virtually impossible to know what's up and what's down, what's real, what isn't. So this isn't just a Canadian issue. This is an international problem.
Mm-hmm. My only concern with some of the things, how that's kind of worded, is it kind of gives me the Patriot Act vibe where, oh, this is going to be to target the terrorists. And then 20 years later, they're using it against us.
Yeah, well, you know, that's part of the problem, right? And because when a government feels threatened, what do? Even in a democracy, in a free country, they start to take people's freedoms away when they see a potential existential threat to the government, the governing party, even, and the country itself, the integrity of the system. It's a strange situation because as you get this pressure on freedom, the result is the government takes people's freedom away in order to combat the threat to freedom. It's a vicious cycle.
Absolutely. And we're already seeing Twitter in Australia having discussions about what's appropriate on Twitter and what's not, and Twitter saying they're not going to take things down, that the Australian government is requesting them to. What's the right answer to any of this? I don't know.
And get this, talking about freedom and spying, the Vatican apparently authorized secret wiretaps on an Italian financial broker based in London, who has been charged with defrauding the Holy See of hundreds of millions of dollars, according to some new documents that have been leaked. So Pope Francis granted investigators the power to bug phones, intercept emails, and arrest anyone without approval from British judges. This coming from the Times of London. Can you believe that? The Pope, the Holy Father.
Ew.
Here, look, this is all over mainstream media even tonight. And here's a New York Post version of the article.
This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
Yeah, well, it's brand new, man, hot off the press. The Vatican's Office of the Promoter of Justice used those powers to target millionaire Raphael Miniccioni, a fund manager accused of cheating the Vatican amidst a roughly $350 million real estate venture. The scandal, it says here, and the New York Post says, the scandal centers on a massive Vatican investment in a former Harrods warehouse in London, which was set to be converted into luxury apartments. So Miniccioni is one of 10 people, including a cardinal, embroiled in the controversy, which first came to light in 2014. He has denied any wrongdoing, though.
Yeah.
Still has to, of course he did. I didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't do it, I swear.
So he's been questioned by investigators, and I guess it's reaching a new crescendo in the legal systems. So this is why it's front and center again in the news tonight. But there's the Pope. He's like, yeah, go ahead. You can wiretap these guys. Go ahead.
The first question I have is, if the Pope is doing this now, how many other times has the Office of the Vatican done this?
Well, why does the Pope get to decide who gets wiretapped and who doesn't?
That's weird. And this was authorized by British Parliament or the judicial system there?
Well, it says right here, in April of 2021, the Pope amended Vatican law permitting religious leaders like cardinals and bishops to stand trial before the Vatican's civil-led courts. Days later, Pope Francis allegedly ordered the adoption of technological tools suitable for intercepting fixed and mobile devices, as well as any other communication, including electronic ones, according to these leaked documents. These powers may be exercised, it says, this is a quote, these powers may be exercised against subjects whose communication activities are considered useful for carrying out the investigations. And then weeks later, Miniccioni's phones and computer were seized by Vatican authorities and Italian police at a hotel in Rome while the financier was vacationing, according to the report. His Italian lawyer claims he was put under surveillance. So don't cross the Pope. Seems he has the power to order wiretaps, and he'll know everything you see and read, watch online. He'll know whether you called your father on Father's Day or not. Or did you sin and not call your dad? That's the question.
Yeah, I called my dad.
Yeah, me too.
Of course I did. Well, I mean, he's got the Swiss Guard with him too, right? Like, the Swiss Guard is elite. And they always wear those fancy outfits, but it's way more than that. They are a modern fighting unit with probably more technological capabilities than we could imagine.
Well, I have something special to share with everybody at the end of the program tonight about Father's Day. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. And Brendan, is there anything else you want to add on any of these stories? Because I was thinking, we might lighten things up a little bit with a Truspiracies segment tonight.
Let's get her done.
Okay. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side with Truspiracies. News so real, it's unbelievable. We'll be right back.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, before we get into true conspiracies, you were saying to me yesterday or the day before that we need to set goals to make this channel grow again. And so I'm gonna let you do that whole thingy that you were talking about on the phone with me to get people to help us out.
Well, we do need a lot of help on the channel here, so we have big aspirations for the future here, and we want you guys to be a part of that with it'd be a great help if you are able to go to freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com to send us a donation. We are bringing you here dollar per dollar value here, great value. Rick Walker and myself spend a lot of time doing things for the show, especially Rick Walker. I would call him the streaming machine. Nobody streams longer than him on the internet. Well, some people do, but he's up there. He could sit here for like 6 hours. He could sit here for hours and hours and hours. Freedomreporters.com. We could use your help. And if you're not able to help us with a simple donation, you could also help us by engaging in the channel. It would be a great help to us if you could help us achieve the simple goal of 100 thumbs up. And we're going to start with 100 thumbs up on our Rumble channel and on YouTube, because the algorithm does not like it when you help our channel out with the thumbs up. So we need to show big tech what you're all about and see what we could do to make more things happen. We have big goals here, and you could be a part of that too. So for the foreseeable future, we're going to be having a goal of 100 thumbs up on this channel. And you could help us make that happen. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's a big help.
So especially on YouTube and, as you say, on Rumble as well. Mm-hmm. And we absolutely need it, because just this past week, we have more than one YouTube channel, and two of our channels struck again, community guideline strikes, and a 7-day ban. And for, honestly, the reason they gave was completely unrelated to the content of the video. It makes no sense. So I haven't appealed it, but I probably will, and they'll just reject the appeal, as they always do anyway. But all of that being said, it was ridiculous. Nevertheless, thank you, Brendan, for doing that. And yeah, please like, share, subscribe. And
speaking of socials, where else can they find you? You were on Twitter, right? Where can we be found at Twitter?
We're doing Twitter, which is, X now. We're on Twitch tonight. We're on Odyssey Live tonight. We are always on Wimkin now. We're broadcasting over there. Instagram, we're on there. We are on, after the show, I put the rebroad up on Cloud Hub. You'll find content there quite often. Gab, we're on BitChute, HugeTube, and Brighteon. So we're all over the place, man. Yeah.
That's excellent.
All over the place. Yeah.
And once
So-
again, we do appreciate everybody watching and tuning in. It is absolutely awesome to have you here.
Absolutely. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. True Spiracies.
I can see why
Okay.
they banned you with that alien. That was pretty scary.
Yes. Yes. Well, you never know when the lizard people or the aliens are going to come out of hiding and eat your brains. So we got to be careful. Although I have to say, I'm very relieved these days because that whole 5G zombie attack, do you remember the scare about that? Fortunately, somehow we dodged a bullet on that one.
Oh my goodness.
But Ben Affleck wasn't able to dodge the bullet. He took the bait, fell into the trap, married J-Lo, and then it turned into this, Brendan, a sexless marriage. And here I went into the future, and I got this copy of the National Enquirer, and I can prove that I went into the future because it's dated June 17th, 2024, right here. There it is. That's the date.
For the record,
proof.
what's the date? What's the
Proof.
date here today? What's the
June
record?
16th.
That's right.
Yes. So I went, and now I showed this the other night. I didn't get a chance to, I didn't even care if I read the stories out of here because I had a full week to get to this stuff because it hadn't even happened yet. All right. But so it doesn't matter. It's still news today. It's not even going to happen until tomorrow. So, the exposure of J-Lo and Ben's sexless marriage won't happen until tomorrow. But we have it here today because we have, well, I had next week's news that day, but now it's tomorrow's news today, which is only as good as Alex Jones.
Do you remember that sitcom where the guy, he would always get tomorrow's newspaper today, and then he would run around New York City preventing things from happening?
What are you talking about?
This was a major CBS sitcom in the 90s.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, and I thought I had an original idea. Maybe I saw that when I was younger, and I just and it's just been stuck in the back. Or maybe I went into did time travel and figured that out before he did, and they got the idea. Maybe they traveled into the future to see me doing this with you, got the idea, went back in time and did it, and now they've changed the space-time continuum, and now we're all screwed.
Yeah, it was called The Early Edition and aired in 1996.
What was it called? The Early Edition?
Early Edition, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I had a weird...
Before we even get into the J-Lo thing, is this legal? These advertisements in the National Enquirer for vaping products? I thought it was illegal to advertise vaping products in print media in Canada. Let's Google that.
Yeah, I could take care of that.
Because there it is, like a centerfold spread on vaping products. I thought that was outlawed by the federal government.
Yeah, it sure was.
Is it true?
Yeah, it says no person shall promote a vaping product or a vaping product related brand elements by means of advertising unless it conveys in the prescribed form and manner the information required by regulation, blah, blah, blah.
So there is a...
Is there a warning on it? Does it say this will kill you or...
I don't know. Underage sale prohibited. So yeah, there's the warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. But I thought it was illegal to sell this, to advertise these products with nicotine in any form of media. Like, I don't think you can advertise these online even
That's
in
not
Canada.
actually that is not true because
No, it's not?
there is a new nicotine product on the shelves at gas stations in Canada, and it's called Zonic. It's a pouch you put it in your mouth, and they advertise it in the stores because it's not a smoking product. It was deemed by Canada to be a natural health product, but the whole thing is designed to get people to wean off smoking.
See, I thought a year ago the federal government came. Maybe I'm not remembering things correctly. I just saw that and it just raised the question for me. But there it is. Yeah. So let's get to this J-Lo and Ben sexless marriage story. The big thing here is, will this top Tay-Tay's tatas? I don't know if you, yeah, there you go. You weren't around for that one. That was the best True Spiracies story ever. It was about Taylor Swift's artificially enhanced memories. And they referred to them as Tay-Tay's.
I knew there was something wrong with her as soon as she endorsed Joe Biden.
Well, where's the story? Come on. I'm trying to find it. It was supposed to be the big story. Can't even find it in the stupid magazine. Where is it?
I didn't think anybody cared about J-Lo anymore and Ben Affleck.
Well, somebody seems to. Story doesn't even. There it is. Oh my goodness. It's pretty good. I don't know. This could rival Tay-Tay's tatas because it's a no nookie nightmare. It's a no nookie nightmare for J-Lo and Batman.
Oh, does it say Batman or Batman?
Yes, Batman.
Oh boy.
It's a no nookie nightmare for J-Lo and Batman.
Ah.
Oh, doesn't that sound kinky? The whole Batman thing. Like, can you imagine Ben Affleck dressed up in his in his Batman outfit and his what is it? It's made of leather and neoprene.
I never watched that one, so I don't know. Let's see here. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, you never saw him as Batman? He was
No.
probably, I don't know, who was worse as Batman, him or George Clooney? I guess it must be him because you don't even remember him. It says here, lame lovebirds Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's bickering took a big bite out of their bedroom antics. With sources telling the National Enquirer the action went from red hot to no-go before the burned out Batman hunk bolted. A lot of bees in there.
Oh, he was in the Batman v Superman movie in 2016, and then
that's
the
right.
Rob Schneider cut.
J-Lo privately complains Ben wasn't up to par in the bedroom. Then he stopped making an effort and became lazy and boring as a lover. Tattle's a tipster. I love these, how they come up with these little turns of phrase. Tattle's a tipster. And it's always an unnamed source. It's always a source that shall remain nameless. The Oscar winner 51 decamped from their shared home last month for a pricey Brentwood rental less than 2 years after tying the knot with the demanding diva, who is 54. Did you know J-Lo is like 54 years old?
Absolutely, I did know that. She came into more hot water recently too because she canceled her tour, her music tour, and I mean there's a lot of speculation about it because a lot of people are saying there was like nobody showing up to the concerts, and so they canceled the tour.
And see, Big Bad Ben's secret is out now, you see. You know, because you know what he is? He's a booty man. he's not Batman, he's a booty man. Because he went for J-Lo's booty.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of her yesterday on social media, and it was like all booty. it like somewhere in there, like way in the distance, was a shot of her face looking back, but it was J-Lo's booty. So no nookie nightmare for J-Lo and the booty man. Booty, the booty man. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was pretty good. Okay. I don't know. That does rival Tay Tay's Tatas.
Well,
Front page.
Is the story true? It looks like other news sources are reporting that there are
Brendan,
marital woes.
come on. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Is it true? It's in the National Enquirer. Come on, man.
The official news source of the Men in Black, right?
Well, look, hey, J-Lo's booty's in high demand, and if he's not up to par, she's single again and ready to mingle. So, there you go. Now, you want to talk about serious stuff? China's new spy attack revealed right there on the top.
Bring that up.
Yeah, China's new spy attack. And actually, I think that there's... You want truth. You're going to find a fair bit of it in the National Enquirer. Let me see if I can find this.
I didn't even know
this
that
is
was...
concerned. We're talking about foreign influence. China spying at bottom of the sea. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden, tapping phone lines. Like
In
Chinese. Right there.
In a copyright strike on YouTube, Under the Sea.
Stealing corporate and government secrets by tapping into cables. Sinister Chinese agents are stealing vital military secrets and valuable intellectual property by tapping into undersea fiber optic cables carrying much of the world's internet traffic. Fear concerned U.S. officials. In a frightening warning to some of the largest American companies dependent on the undersea lines, intelligence officials say the Chinese are using cable repair ships to install remote devices that allow them to eavesdrop on data flow. The clandestine bugging operations enable Beijing to steal the intellectual property of businesses and encrypted military communications that use the commercially owned fiber optic cables, say sources, who shall remain nameless. Well, Seymour Hersh uses unnamed sources for his work as well, so why not the National Enquirer? Giant U.S. corporations like Google and Meta Platforms, the owner of Facebook and Instagram, often use companies that are at least partly owned by Chinese operatives to repair the hundreds of thousands of miles of cable that snake along the Pacific Ocean's seabed. So there you go. China, they're very interested in what you're doing online, stealing secrets, and there's the Pentagon snubbing vets exposed to A-bomb tests. Dun, 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 dun. Well, that's actually pretty serious stuff. You think that's true? They claim top secret experiments left them riddled with tumors?
Yeah.
Radiation? Yeah.
I mean, it's happened before, Agent Orange and other stuff. Like I think even Joe Biden's son there, didn't Beau Biden die of cancer, and he had interesting dealings with some toxic stuff in the Army or the Navy, one of those things.
Says here, cold-hearted Pentagon officials are stonewalling pleas for help from Air Force veterans left sick from serving at a top-secret Nevada base when nuclear weapons were tested for decades. David Crete, 59, and Pomp Braswell, 57, allege they haven't been able to claim Department of Defense assistance because the base at which they served, Tonopah Test Range, is so secret that the Pentagon refuses to acknowledge that they were ever there.
Actually, I think this is a continuing story.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've heard of this before. That's inside of Area 51.
Have you ever been out to the desert in Nevada?
No, but I would absolutely love it. I'm
I've driven out there. I've driven out in, various areas of the desert in Nevada to shoot photos and stuff with cars. And it's I don't know. When I was out there, I was wondering, what are the radiation levels like out there these days? I know that they've seriously declined since all the nuclear testing, but it makes you wonder.
Absolutely.
Makes you wonder. What else do we have going on here in the National Enquirer? Backdoor bear ambushes teen. Do you want to hear about that? Critter sneaks into cabin as kid watches TV.
What? I believe that.
Yeah.
And that brings up the entire great social media debate that occurred recently, where women were telling people in interviews, which company would you prefer if you were alone in the woods more? Would you rather be in the woods alone with a bear or with a man? And they were saying, oh, I'd rather be with a bear.
Well, I'm sure this is actually true, and this is a tragic story because it involves a person by the name of Brigham Hawkins, who it appears was attacked by this bear, a black bear, just sitting there watching TV in a cabin, and this bear comes in and mauls him.
Oh, it's a real deal. Here, check it out.
Yeah. You found another version of the story out there?
Yes, sir.
Arizona teen escapes bear attack with nasty scratches.
From May 27th.
Yeah, see, now that's not right because I went into the future to get to next week's news and they're actually reporting history. So that is a serious story. Wow. Holy smokes.
That's gruesome.
It is indeed. Oh my God. And that's the exact same picture that I have here. Now here's another one. Maybe you want to Google this too, Brendan, and see if it measures up to scrutiny. Hitler's yacht sunk off Miami. Holocaust survivors settle grim grudge. You want to take a Google at that? And
Currently grabbing it.
Hitler's yacht sunk off Miami.
Oh, wow. 1989.
1989?
Yeah.
What the heck? What a ripoff! I did all that time traveling to go into the future to get the history. Nazi demon, unless there's a new spin on this to move this story forward. Let me show it. Let's bring that up. Hitler's yacht sits off the coast of this Florida beach. Here's why.
And nearly 5 miles off the coast of Miami Beach, a yacht sits at the bottom of the ocean. This vessel, dubbed the Ostwind, has a strange history. It was once owned by Adolf Hitler. The 80-foot-long yacht was commissioned by the infamous dictator in 1938 as an Olympic racing yacht, though it never actually competed. According to historian Mike Miller, Hitler's plan was to ride the yacht into England after Germany's victory, where he would accept Winston Churchill's surrender aboard the boat. However, history had different plans. And there's what it looked like. That's boring.
This is exact same picture as this, and this is history, man. This isn't even recent.
Kind of interesting. It doesn't really have much ties to Adolf Hitler. It doesn't sound like he took it out on weekends too much.
Well, I guess he owned it, but I don't know. Huh. Well, anyway, interesting story nevertheless. So they sank the thing, and so they acquired it over time, and then they took it out and sent it to the bottom of the sea to get their revenge on Adolf Hitler.
I know that they will do stuff like that often to create, what's it called? New, like coral grows around it.
Oh yeah. They will sink ships to build new coral reefs. Yes.
Yeah,
There's
that's
the
exactly what they did
something.
it for. According to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission,
Mhm.
the following items have also been sunk near Miami Beach to create artificial reefs:
Yep.
smokestacks, radio towers, airplanes, army tanks, a water tower, tugboats, oil rig structures,
See,
a
now there's
railroad barge.
there's real truth right there. See, that's one of the real reasons they did it. It wasn't even because of the history behind it. It was they needed to do something with this old, beaten up, old, broken down, rickety ship, and they sent it to the bottom of the ocean to create an artificial coral reef.
I think his Mercedes is still out there, though. Doesn't he have like a state Mercedes? You'd know more about that than I would,
Yep.
but I think it was in that movie called Rat Race.
Yeah, there is a Hitler vehicle out there. It has gone to auction from time to time, and whenever it goes up for auction, there's always controversy surrounding it. Like, should they sell it? Should someone be allowed to even own it? But it's a car, and there is history attached to it, but it's a car. I think people get pushed to the point sometimes where they lose sight of the fact that you need to preserve the history so you understand it, remember it, so you don't repeat it. If you try to suppress it to the point where you no longer have an accurate representation of the history for future generations to look back on or look upon to understand the past, then you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes of the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it's also kind of interesting that the video game Call of Duty, they issued a World War II game a number of years back where they took out the swastikas entirely, and then they diversified the German army, which was really weird. So there was like German soldiers that are like female and of every color of the rainbow.
I gotta
Very
tell you
odd.
though, these tabloids, the stories that I see in here, some of them just don't stack up. Like, I mean, what I'm saying is they're just not that engaging. It's a lot of celebrity news. It's not aliens and conspiracies and stuff like that. It's celebrity news, so much of it. But I guess that's what really sells. That's what a lot of people really want to focus on.
Must be a dying business though, because I could look any of these celebrities up on like Instagram or X
Yeah.
or
Well, I think that it is a dying industry.
what did
Print
that set you
media
back?
in general. What's that?
What did that set you back?
Like almost $10
Whoa.
with tax. Yeah, almost $10. I think it was like $8.95 or something. By the time I was done, $9 for one National Enquirer, so that I could get a story about a Hitler boat that was from what year was that story originally printed? Like 5 years ago or something?
It's older than that. It
26
was from the
2014?
80s.
The
1989. Yeah.
Oh my God.
On
I'll
June
just
4th,
rehash it 40
yeah,
years later.
On June 4, 1989, I wasn't even born yet. About 100 Holocaust survivors watched applauding and crying as the ramshackle remains of the boat known as Hitler's yacht slipped under the warm waters of Miami Beach.
Well, it must be a dying industry because they've gone they're so cheap that they can't even afford to get current news in here. So here I am, putting all that effort into time travel for nothing.
I know. And what did that set you back?
Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. Oh my God. Well, it is Father's Day, and I thought we would wrap this program up tonight with something that I found online. This is the special thing that I promised everybody that you wanted to stick around for. But before I get to that, what happened with your kids today, Brendan? What did they call you, or did you call them, or did you
Yeah,
call
they
your
called
dad?
me.
What happened?
Yeah, my kids called me. Well, my kids were around today for a little bit. And
Yeah.
I called my dad. I always call my dad every Father's Day. And we don't live remotely close, me and my dad, but we are close. We talk often.
Cool. Yeah, I called my dad too. And I was reminiscing a little bit, and I told he a couple of things that were kind of funny, and my dad was on the show the other night telling jokes. Eh?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, I should have put him on tonight, but anyway, that's okay. We shared a special moment today because we talked about going to the movies. My dad never hardly ever goes to the movies. He recalled that I went to the movies with him for my son's birthday, but it has to have been 20 years ago. Was the last time I went to the movies. And I don't remember what we saw, but it was for my son's birthday party. So there was that. And then the only other time he's been to the movies with in my recollection, and he brought it up, surprisingly. And it was a highlight of my life. We went to the drive-in when I was a kid. And we saw, get this, Star Wars. And I said, Dad, he said, yeah, I remember. We went to the movies once. We went to see that. What was that movie? Star Wars. Yeah, we went to see that one. He says, I kind of fell asleep in the car watching it with you. I was like, are you kidding? That was like a pivotal moment in my life that changed my whole life.
Did he call it the Star Wars?
No, he didn't. He said, that Star Wars movie. And then he says that he fell asleep. And I said, Dad, that was like 1977. 1977.
Yeah.
So in the last, I don't know, 50 years, my dad's been to the movies twice and one time to the drive-in. That's it. Otherwise, he just stays home and watches television. But that was something else. And that brought back so many memories. And I remember fondly that one trip to the movies. But I guess, Brendan, in a way, that's what made that so special because on that one occasion, my dad took me to the movies with my mom, and I think a friend of mine went too. And I saw that very special movie. And it was the only time that he ever took me, but I still remember it with such fond memories.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful though, to have those memories. Like, movies have always been an integral part of my life, and when I hear that, people don't know movies, it's always kind of a weird thing. My grandfather immigrated, my great-grandfather immigrated here from Italy when he was 10, and he opened up a successful chain of movie theaters in Northern Ontario. And so movies have always been in my family. My grandfather always had lots of movies. I discovered excellent classics such as The Great Escape, Gone with the Wind. Like, these are all films that are in my repertoire because of people I grew up with that wanted to share movies that they thought were very special to them with me.
Yeah. And so and then I said to my dad, Dad, I used to take the kids to the drive-in with my wife, and we would go quite often. Unlike you, who only took me once in my life, right? But there was this one time we took the kids to the drive-in, and of course they were all in their pajamas and they're in the back seat, and my daughter had this little stuffed ducky, right? That she took with her. She was so attached to that thing. And at some point during the night, she got out of the car and went to the concessions and came back with my wife, and she lost her ducky. She didn't realize it until we got home, right? So we get home, she's looking in the back of the car. She can't find her ducky. She's having a conniption fit. She's just wailing and screaming because she's just a little toddler, right?
Yeah.
And she was just distraught. Now, it was like a quadruple feature weekend thing, so it had to be like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd been up all night or whatever, and she lost her ducky. So I had to I was like, oh, I can't have her crying. She can't go without her ducky. So I got back in the car, drove all the way back out to the drive-in in the middle of the morning, still pitch black. I drove back out there. I was out there with a flashlight. Everybody else is gone. I'm back at the drive-in searching all over the lot for her ducky. And I finally found the thing, and I got home. She was still awake when I got home because she was so upset. And I rescued her ducky and brought it home. And I don't know if she remembers that or not, but I'll tell you, I could not bear to hear my daughter crying. It just was breaking my heart. So I had to go get her ducky.
Well, this is why dads are heroes, I guess, right?
Oh, I don't know if it made me a hero, but I was sleepless that night, that's for sure. But this guy here, this guy is a super dad. No question about it. Check this out. Look at what this guy did for his daughter. Okay, look at this. This is so cool. All right, let's go. And all right. I want one of these things. Look, is that not cool or what?
What?
Look at this.
I see what it is. Okay.
Is that wicked or what?
It's like a suit, and he's in the back. I think that's from the movie Alien, isn't it?
Could be. I don't know. I mean, I get the whole idea. It looks very familiar. I don't know if it's from the Alien movie. It could be.
The one with
This is so cool. Look at this. Look at
Sigourney
this.
Weaver.
That is so cool. I want one. I have to make one. I wish my kids were that age again. It's like when my wife and I, when we were younger, she was like, "We're gonna have kids, right?" And I was like, "We can have kids." I said, "But we have to skip right over the baby part and go right to where they're like about 3 or 4, because that's where they're fun." I said, the stuff in between, that's a lot of work. But that age right there, those are the golden years. They think it's when you're 65 and older. No, sir. The golden years are right there, man. That's the sweet spot.
Well, even when my kids were like really young and newborn, I have fond memories of the kid waking up at night and not sleeping, and then so I would go into the living room and put on Rambo First Blood, and then we would stay up watching Rambo First Blood together. Yeah. And then, my wife at the time was like, "Oh my God, you watched Rambo with the baby?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's just a baby."
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not, but it's certainly science fiction come to life, thanks to that father who obviously loves his daughter a lot. And I love my kids too, and I hope you guys all had a great Father's Day out there as well. And it sounds like you did, Brendan, so I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And with that, folks, we are going to sign off tonight. Brendan, I'll just throw it over to you to remind people again how they can support the program.
Yeah, so thanks for hanging out with us this long here on the Maverick News channel. It's been a pleasure being here the past 3 days, and thanks for putting up with me. Just remember, we do need your support, so if you could go to freedomreporters.com, that is freedomreporters.com, and you could drop us any donation possible to help us keep going. And once again, we do have a goal that we are going to be trying to reach for the foreseeable future, and we need 100 likes across all social media platforms, so make sure you smash that like button. Once again, I'm Brendan Kennedy, and sayonara. It's been great being here.
And I'm Rick Walker, and I will see you guys back here. Same Booty Man channel, same Booty Man time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Catch you guys all on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.